and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and I go live every week on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to share with you some of the things that I'm working on. And right now, I'm supposed to be working on my classes for the month of June. I have a tentative design for everything, and now I sit down and I try to make the cards and I put my own spin on things because I do case most of my cards. That's a true confession. I definitely do. But I do try to put my own little spin on it. So I sat down to do one today, and then I don't know what happened. I got distracted. I have been posting swap cards recently, and the most recent ones have been from a Northish Jersey stampers group that we have. We get together every other month, and we share. We swap cards, and I have one from Hannah Byrd that distracted me today, and I think I'm going to be adding it to my class for in 2 weeks. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at what I've been working on so that you understand how easily I got distracted. So as you can see, I was working with the Silly Old Bear set, suite, I should say. This is the Silly Old Bear Designer Series paper, and from my paper share, I can show you some of the pieces. There are some lovely scenes that are already framed, and you can just cut them out. And then there are cute little Pooh and Piglet papers, and then just some, all the different characters are here. We've got some of the 100-Acre Woods, and we've got some interesting designs on the back, more 100-Acre Woods there, and some pretty designs. So that's not everything, but that is what I had in front of me. But one of the sheets, and that's this one, it has dies that cut out all of these different shapes. And not only that, but the suite contains two different stamp sets, and one of the stamps, two different bundles. One of them is Sweet Old Friends, and you'll see that they match up with the images. So you could either stamp and color or do whatever you want with them and then cut them out, or you can just cut them straight out of the paper. And this is how I got down that road, because this is Hannah's swap card that she made. So thank you, Hannah, for that. And like I said, I was just about to post it to my Facebook page, my social media, for everybody to see. And I started looking at it, and I said, well, you know what? I wonder what that looks like if we use the characters that are in the paper. So I sat down and I literally took my 6x6 piece of paper, and look, I cut out all these shapes. Isn't it amazing how many shapes were cut out of that one paper design? And look at all these little guys I got to work with. So I went ahead and I even did an extra owl. I was trying to decide what to do with him. So I said, well, why don't we make this card using these guys? Not a terrible stretch, but it caused me to do some thinking. When I do classes, I do them in these. This is for my in-person class. I have to make sure that each of my 5 stations uses unique supplies. In other words, I can't have one ink pad used at 2 stations because people are going to be moving around. That's how I conduct my classes. So that's just one of the challenges that I have when I'm trying to choose what cards for each class. Same thing goes for, I need at least usually about 40, sometimes 50 cards. So I have to be able to economically make, cut the supplies for, 40 or 50 cards, etc. So, I was starting to think about the challenges, and I, just went off on a tangent. So let's go ahead and make my version of this card. And it's really pretty much the same, but I took a piece. We're going to walk through all the different steps, which makes it fun. So the first thing we're starting with is a very vanilla, thick card base. So come on, little guys, let's go over here. Push them to the side. They're just so cute. And I'm going to give that a nice fold. I happen to have it scored. That's an unusual situation for me. So here we go. And we're going to make this a landscape card. And so what I want to do is stamp the background. And I'm going to go with early espresso because that seems to be the color that's used instead of black. It's a little less harsh. And, you know, when you use early espresso or something like basic gray or smoky slate, it gives you that rich outline if that's what you're looking for, or something like that, but not as harsh as a black. So that's just a little tidbit. And what I took was the little, you can see in Hannah's card, she used these in the background. And at first I thought they were little footsteps. I got washi tape issues. Hang on a second. I thought that they were just footsteps, but really what they are the little dandelion thingies. I'm going to go with thingies that come off the dandelion. Isn't that adorable? So look, they have little bees too. We could have used too. But anyway, little dandelion. So that's what I said. Okay, Hannah did it. I may as well do that too. And I actually used a little bit more. So I'm just going to stamp these all around the background, just so that just makes it a little less bare. And down here, I'm not sure what I'm going to be covering, but that's okay. We'll just go around. See, I'm just tapping lightly and placing them down. So we've got that. Okay, and the next thing that she has on her card is this background paper and what she did with it. So I said, oh, this is great because something that we haven't done in a while in my classes. So we're going to go ahead. And what I did, we have a new embossing folder, and this is the 100 Acre Wood embossing folder. You can see that's pretty good. You can see that it has that design, kind of like the designer series paper. I don't know if it's exactly the designer series paper. I doubt it. But you can see, and it's really big. It's really big. So what I did is I took a piece of this happens to be the two-tone Peaceful Pine paper, and the theme of our card swap was new products, and so she chose to use the new in colors. So Peaceful Pines, the two-tone, and I just put it in, and I found a spot that I liked. So let's see if I can duplicate it now. I thought up here I wanted some trees, I wanted some lines, so I went ahead and stuck it into my embossing folder, and this is how it came out. I chose to have my raised side, the embossed side, be the lighter side because you know what? That's what Hannah did, so why not? It looks good. I thought, too, that the dark side might be a little harsh. So now that we have that, you know that our two-tone paper has a white core. So I took something that I got at the dollar store, and this is a nail, it's for nail filing and buffing. Actually, it says shaping and smoothing and buffing and polish and shine. And they're all different grades of sandpaper. So I thought this was a great thing for $1.25. I had picked one up quite a while ago. It's the first time I'm using it, but I'm going to use the roughest side, which is this step one, the shaping side, and I'm just going to very noisily run it over my embossed paper, and you can see that it makes the image pop a little. Anything that's raised is going to be just kind of scraped off so that the white core is showing. All right, so we have that. So now you can kind of see that design a little bit better. At least, you might not have even noticed there was a design at all before. And then I think what Hannah did is she crumples it up. I was too afraid to do that. Not that I'm usually afraid, but what I'm going to do is just kind of rough up the edges, and if it tears, that's okay. You can use your fingernail. I'm using my scoring bone just to get things a little rougher. You could use a pair of scissors. That is another really good thing. Let me see if I have scissors here. I should. I don't have little ones. But that's another good way to rough up your edges, especially in the corners, and this paper tears easily, which is not a bad thing in this case. You want it to look a little bit rougher because that's what Hannah did. And I'm going with that. I'm sticking with it. So, yeah, so I'm just getting that done. So, oh, I know. You guys don't get this in Canada. Unfortunately, the silly old bear, because of patent and licensing laws, it's not available. They thought it was going to be able to be available worldwide, and it's not. So that is, it's only for US. But anyway, Tracy is happy that I'm sharing. So thanks for the comment, Tracy. So anyway, so I've got this roughed up a little bit, and that looks good. And maybe I will crumple it just a little bit now that I've gotten it a little bit rougher. So you can go as crazy or as little as you want. I know I have some people out there that are going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. So, but anyway, so here we've got our paper. And now that I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and add this to my card front. Now, especially because I've now done all this crinkling and whatever tearing, I really want to make sure I'm using my wet adhesive, getting it into those nooks and crannies and making sure that it sticks to my card base. So as you know, that's my little rule of thumb, is that if it's embossed or textured, that I will use a wet adhesive. Okay. So there we have it. So that's our background. And now it's the fun part. We can add our little guys. Now, the thing is that when you look at the card, it's kind of a little scene. So the scene is based upon, remember, we've got the little dandelions flying around. It's based on little Piglet, and he's blowing on the dandelion. So we want everybody to look at Piglet. So we're going to use some dimensionals to add them. And, you know, as I mentioned, I cut these out of just a quarter sheet of the designer series paper, and I'm just going to go ahead and add Piglet first because I realize that's what everybody's doing. They're looking at Piglet. Okay, and then we want to add Pooh Bear. So where is the Pooh Bear? Here it is. There are other images of Pooh Bear, maybe on other sheets, and certainly could be stamped, but this has him just standing behind Piglet. And so I'm going to just put my dimensional next to Piglet so that he can overlap a little bit. And so he is watching Piglet. So here we go. And then, oops, I probably should have pushed him a little bit more to the edge, but maybe we're going to fix that because I was looking to do that. Now, on the other side, though, you can see Eeyore and Tigger are facing the other way, so it makes sense that they should go on the right side of the card. I know, so much thinking went into this. So we have to make sure we do this. I also noticed that Hannah hadn't posted this on her social media, so we got to get this out there so that people can see it. All right, so we've got Tigger there, and we're going to add Eeyore as well. I'm going to put that there so that I can get Eeyore in there. And so we're all looking over at, I went a little too far on this one. But anyway, you get the idea. So we have those guys, and maybe, because I did that, maybe Rabbit can come in over here. So I think I'm going to add Rabbit because I didn't have room for Rabbit before. But now I might have room for Rabbit. So let's see if I can fit him in. I forget, I think Rabbit's a boy and Roo is a girl, right? I think that's what it is. It's been a long time since I've played with Pooh. There we go. I'm going to put it here, and we're going to have Rabbit maybe just up a little higher, looking on. All right. He might be hanging off a little bit, but we're gonna say that's okay. All right, so we have that, and what Hannah did for hers is that she fussy cut around this little saying. Sometimes when you go looking for happiness, happiness finds you. And I think that's just a very sweet sentiment. But because and let me tell you something, she confessed to us that she does not have the dies. She fussy cut each and every one of these after she stamped them. So really that was above and beyond. And I think we only swapped, we had to make 8 of each for this particular swap, but still, 32 little guys plus the words is a lot to fussy cut out, and you can see how good she is at it. I am not this good. She does a nice smooth cut. But we have the advantage of having the dies, which I showed you. But the other bundle that's included in that suite is this one called Sweet Words and Labels. And that's where I found the words. And so they're cute little sayings there. But even better are these gorgeous dies. And I just love them. So since we have them, I went ahead and I die cut this one to create this shape here. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment right on there. And that will create our card. So those of you who come to class have to tell me what you think. Unfortunately, for a class, I'm not going to be able to do where we die cut from the designer series paper, because there's just no way I can have enough of them for an in-person class, and we need to be able to stamp in person, so we have that. But I'm going to add this with dimensionals. Let me know if you'd like to make this card with me, because if you do, June 11th, 12th, and 13th, we're going to be making a class or something that looks very much like it. Now, usually, I would then add to my card some bling, but I got to be honest, I haven't figured out. I don't want to take away from everything that's going on here, right? It's just too cute. So let me just show you the card that I made initially. You can see I don't have rabbit over here, and owl was facing the wrong way. So things you have to think about. Rue was a little, no, not Rue, Kanga. Kanga was, could have come over here somewhere. So we could really go crazy if we wanted to, but I think this is enough. So thank you to Hannah Byrd for giving me this swap card, and we're going to be making this one where we actually stamp them and die cut them, and then she used a white gel pen to color in the bow here, as well as the honey and label on Pooh's Honey Pot. And notice that these are new in colors as well. So we've got the Peaceful Pine, Golden Glow, Barely Blush, Crisp Cantaloupe, and Hydrangea Hue going on. So that is my card for today, and that is also the Silly Old Bear Suite. So thank you so much for joining me. It was good to have you here today. And next week, I'm sure I'll have another card from my upcoming classes, because that's what I'm working on. If you have any questions or want the measurements or anything like that, you can see in the notes for this video. All the information you need is there. And we'll see you next week. Thanks so much for joining. Bye-bye.